The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
On Friday, we found out the unemployment rate has fallen from the height of 10% down to 7.8%, the lowest since I took office.
That was President Obama last year on the campaign trail, but now there are charges the job stats were manipulated in his favor. We will have a special report.
It's imperative to reach out and to share that conservative message of liberty and less government and lower taxes.
Sarah Palin demanding that MSNBC discipline a commentator who attacked her in a gross way. We'll take a look at that situation.
I'm not politically correct, Billy. I'm off the reservation. This whole thing's going to hell in a handbasket.
And the very best of Dennis Miller this fall. He is out of control this evening.
If I'm perceived as a problem because I'm candid, so be it.
Caution. You are about to enter the no spin zone. Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Pardon my voice this evening. Allergies again, and the frog is back. Such is life. President Obama and a new jobs controversy. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. New York Post reporting that job numbers during last year's presidential campaign were manipulated to the president's favor by people in the Census Bureau, which is responsible for the stats. The White House quickly denied any wrongdoing.
That story is obviously misleading. I think a lot of people shed a lot of credibility engaging in conspiracy theories last fall about rigged jobs numbers. I have to tell you, as somebody who's been here for a long time, when month after month after month the jobs numbers came in and then later were revised upward, it sure didn't feel like they were helping us.
However, President Obama did use the job numbers in question on the campaign trail.
This morning, we found out that the unemployment rate has fallen to its lowest level since I took office. On Friday, we found out the unemployment rate has fallen from the height of 10% down to 7.8%, the lowest since I took office.
Now, Talking Points cannot say with any certainty whether the job numbers were fixed, and apparently a House committee is going to investigate. But you know how these things go. Benghazi was investigated, the IRS was investigated, fast and furious, on and on. Little is ever accomplished. The job story reinforces the deep suspicion currently enveloping the entire Obama administration. CBS poll out tonight, again, more weighted toward the Democrats, shows the president's job approval rating standing at a dismal 37%, the lowest point in that poll in his tenure. The disapproval number, 57%, is the same as President Bush had when the Iraq War was at its lowest point. In fact, Mr. Bush was on the Jay Leno program last night.
Now, I know you've avoided talking policy for the last 6 or 7 years. Explain why.
I don't think it's good for the country to have a former president criticize his successor.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, President Obama is kind of getting all the late night jokes now. Are you?
Better him than me.
You are there. Are you glad you aren't president now?
Yes, I am. Yeah. 8 years is plenty.
And I think that's what Barack Obama must be saying as well. But as Talking Points pointed out yesterday, all the chaos is hurting we the people. It's hurting us. The economy stalled partially because of Obamacare. And overseas villains like Iran taking advantage of America's weakened status. When a president becomes unpopular, the unintended consequences of that affect everybody. Now, the Factor will continue to investigate the job story, and if the numbers were cooked, criminal charges must be filed, even by an attorney general as political as Eric Holder. Tampering with a presidential election, perhaps the most serious political charge in the book. We need to get to the bottom of this, but my question is, who's even going to investigate it? And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction joining us from Washington, Republican Cape Openchain and Democrat Kirsten Powell is also Fox News analyst. So, Kirsten, what say you?
Well, on the Census Bureau thing, I think this is a little bit of a conspiracy theory, perhaps. This is one person out of 7,000 people who our Census Bureau people, and I don't think that one person could actually alter the unemployment numbers.
Well, it was one person identified, then a number of other blind sources, which again you got to be skeptical of. I take your point, but you know, it's just one after another here, is it not? I mean, doesn't it just start to just say, look, when is it ever going to end?
Well, it would help if, I mean, it can't be one after another if the one that we're talking about is probably not even true.
Well,
it just
how do you
doesn't
know?
even make
Why do you
sense.
say probably not even true? Give it a 50-50, right?
Because you would have to have an extraordinary number of people doing what this woman was doing in order to actually alter the overall numbers, and we don't have any evidence
I'm not
that
sure
was
that's
happening.
true. I don't know.
And even still, the idea that somehow people would be doing this to benefit the president, that's a real stretch. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute,
I don't...
and I'll get to you in a moment, Kate. I don't want to. Wait a minute. Okay. You got the IRS investigating the Tea Party, all right, with all these meetings in the White House, and you're telling me that you're kind of like, well, this could never happen business? I mean, don't you understand as a pattern of behavior that's developed over the last 5 years? Don't you get that?
But these things have nothing in common with each other. That's
Sure
not
they do.
The idea that you're going to lie on Census Bureau numbers. So just so I understand what's going. So you were saying there had to be a conspiracy,
no,
right? I mean, all these people would be conspiring together.
I don't know how many people would have to be in charge to put out bogus numbers. I don't know that, but I'd like to have it defined for me. And I'd like to have it defined by the FBI.
Well, what we know is it's one person. That's what we know.
No, we don't know that.
We know it's more than one.
We don't know that. Because there's a lot of blind sources involved.
One person who's identified themselves.
That's right. And the rest of them are anonymous. Okay. All right, Kate. So go ahead.
Thanks. We also know that the Census Bureau did not report any questions of misreporting, which they've acknowledged. They didn't report any of them to the Labor Department. That raises eyebrows. Look, the magic number for before the election was 8% unemployment. To get it below that was incredibly important. And there is this unnamed source, albeit, who says that he's ready to testify. I mean, absolutely, this needs to be investigated. If it happened, and we don't know that it happened, but if it did, it was not in a vacuum. Again and again, we had the Justice Department saying, oh, we'd never eavesdrop on the AP. They were eavesdropping on the AP. The IRS said we would never discriminate based on political perspective. They did. We had the president himself saying spontaneous riot based on a movie. There's this pervasive question of deceit within this administration. So it's not a conspiracy theory. It's that there seems to be something systematic going on throughout the administration.
Thoroughly.
Yes.
Now, Powers, I know you don't watch The Factor unless you're on it. But last night, we had a segment with Crowley and Combs where the president used a woman in Washington State as an example of somebody who was benefiting from Obamacare. And it turns around a woman can't get any health insurance. Are you aware of that situation?
I have heard of that situation,
okay.
yes.
I mean, look, it just seems to me that the whole White House, the whole executive branch, is totally out of control. You can't even vet one woman who you're going to put up there as your poster gal for the good things of Obamacare. I mean, isn't it absurd?
It's a kind of astonishing level of incompetence. I don't understand how you can do that, how you can tout somebody who it turns out is not actually able to.
I know. I mean, I'm just sitting there going, it doesn't have to do with ideology.
Yeah.
It has to do with, like, what is going on? I mean,
it's the same thing with the website not working. It's the same thing with promising people are going to keep their plans and not keep their plans. I mean, it's really kind of.
If I ran my
it's
show,
not the same
Powers,
thing.
if I ran my show the way the White House is running its show, I'd have lower ratings than MSNBC. I'd have to commit suicide. All right?
Okay, it's not the same thing.
Go ahead, Kate.
Thanks. It's not the same thing, Kirsten, as the president saying you can keep your health care. That's not ineptitude that we're seeing everywhere. And I think the poll that Bill pointed out in the beginning actually goes to my point where the American people agree with what I've been saying, that there is this sense that the president is lying. When the majority of the American people now do not trust the president's integrity, that is a huge problem.
There's no
and the whole
doubt
bit about
that
you
his
can keep your healthcare.
his credibility
Yes.
real quick, does your brother win the attorney generalship of Virginia?
It's an ongoing thing. He's down by 164 votes, but there'll be a recount, I'm sure, in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Are there any votes not
164 votes
counted?
is
Are there
tight.
any votes from overseas or something not counted?
They haven't, the votes, no, everything's been counted, but they
Everything's
haven't
there.
been certified. It's a long process ahead.
All right, ladies, thanks very much. Next on the rundown, Sarah Palin demanding an MSNBC discipline a commentator who personally attacked her in a very gross way. Later, Dennis Miller running wild. Somebody has to stop this man. The Factor is coming right back.